Hello, Gemini. This is going to be a continuation of the collective message from the Gemini perspective. So, in the collective, the energy of reunion was coming up. It seemed like there's a timeline merger happening, and it's kicking up some energy as it happens. So, let's look at it from everybody's perspective. And today we're going to do Gemini. So, Gemini, you were showing up on the left as the Page of Wands here, and they are showing up on the right as the King of Wands, right? So you got Page of Wands, King of Wands, pretty compatible. And then the energy between you is the Hierophant, right? Which seems, again, very compatible in terms of the energy of commitment and different things like that. So interesting energy, but of course, I can't help but notice that the King of Wands, them, seems to be turned away from whatever it is that you're doing over here, which is showing up as this rather explosive energy with the Page of Wands here. And it confused me when I first when I first saw this, because I'm looking at the energies. I'm like, okay, these two seem relatively compatible, right? They're both coming up as the wands. That seems good. But again, it's like body language wise, it seems like you're doing everything that you possibly can to get this individual's attention, right? Whether it's sending them messages directly or just telepathically sending messages, whatever this is, it's like there's a ton of energy being sent their way. And it seems unignorable, right? Like there's no way that they wouldn't be able to see the messages that you're sending or whatever it may be. But I was curious to see like what they were distracted by. And the cards that I got were strength, I am strong, and I eat foods that nourish my body and give me energy, right? So all of these cards, all three of these cards talk about the energy of strength. And you're showing up as like a hot young thing over here, Gemini. I don't know what's going on, but you see how explosive this energy is, right? It's like signaling in terms of sending those messages. I don't know if they were spicy messages, what it is, but again, it seems like it's not exactly getting the attention of this King of Wands over here, or at least that's what you're thinking, right? And with these three cards, the the sense that I'm getting is that it's like this individual might not think that they are at your caliber, right? If you want to use the rating system, maybe it's like they consider you to be a 10 and they consider themselves to be like a 5 or less, right? I would think that you disagree with that. But in terms of their own psychology, it's like I think that they're kind of rejecting themselves here, because on I am strong it says, I'm stronger than I think I am. I reject victimhood. My strength is in knowing that all circumstances are temporary. I focus my attention on what's in front of me. I naturally move forward into new phases of life, right? So maybe one thing that it could be, because it doesn't really have to be about hotness, right? It can just be about maybe you're in really good spirits right now. Maybe you have a lot of really great stuff going on and there's just a dynamic energy, and maybe they're feeling a bit of a lull, right? So in regards to that, it's like there's that kind of disconnect where maybe they don't think that they're like financially ready enough to party with you or whatever it may be. It's something like that. Even though it does seem like it's a compatible energy, the other the other aspect that I'm seeing is that when I first pulled these two cards, the first thing that I heard was the expression never outshine the master, right? So the Page of Wands is theoretically, if we're going to look at like a monarchy structure, the page would be subservient to the king, right? The king is like the apex, the master, so to speak, But when I look at these two cards, this Page of Wands seems quite qualified to be a king in their own right, right? In terms of whatever it is that they're pulling off here with this magical wand that they're bursting fire out of and all these salamanders and yada yada. Because I don't see no salamanders coming out of his wand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see it. I see you doing shows over here, but the King of Wands, whoever they are, is not nearly as entertaining. I think, and I think that that's effectively what they're projecting onto themselves, is that there could be there's some sort of humble pie issue here with whoever they are, Gemini, because it just seems like maybe they're slightly intimidated by you. And I don't mean that in terms of like, you're scary or something, but it's just like, if I'm trying to use a good analogy that's not going to turn off half of my viewers, but you know, if somebody that was like really like the ultimate catch came up to you and asked you out, would you say yes or no? Right? You might say no just because it seems like they're too much of a catch, and are you prepared, and are you ready, and are you worthy, and are you fit enough? Right? Because that's what it's coming down to. It's like, am I strong enough? Do I have the stamina to keep up with this one? Maybe they're older than you. Maybe they're something like that. I'm not really sure what it is, Gemini, but let me pull one more oracle card just to see an overall message. And like I said, this was a continuation of the collective, so if this is resonating, definitely check out that collective message. And this is saying, I'm grateful. I realize that's what I realize that what is right about my life outnumbers what I perceive to be wrong. I choose to focus on what makes me feel good. I am grateful. Okay, so that brings me back to basically what I was saying, right? In terms of what's good about your life outnumbers what's wrong. And I think that this is talking about the perspective that they really need to shift into, that they're being too hard on themselves, and they don't, for whatever reason, feel like they're at your level, right? Even though they're the King of Wands and you're showing up as the Page of Wands, they're putting you on a pedestal as though they can't compete with you. Not even compete, but they can't hang, right? Though I would say Spirit says differently, because again, we have the Hierophant here, right? In terms of higher level of commitment, but then you see these little two little twin bunnies, yada yada. That it's like I feel like Spirit itself is really kind of working all of this out. But I also feel like Spirit might be encouraging you to do less, just because maybe from your perspective, you might think that this person is the one on the pedestal and that you really need to impress them, when ultimately it's kind of the other way around. If anything, it's equal playing field, right? But maybe that's what Spirit is kind of trying to encourage here, where it's like, okay, so you did the most, that didn't get the reaction that you were hoping for, not because you're not worthy, but because it was too much for this individual, right? They couldn't handle it, whatever it was. So it's kind of like Spirit saying, like, you really don't need to do much of anything other than kind of be yourself, but there's no elaborate performance or anything like that that needs to happen, right? It's just you. You are the star. So that's pretty much it, Gemini. I'll see you at the next one, and definitely check out the collective if you want a more expanded message. And I'll see you there. Bye.